An NFL Hall of Famer just dropped a bombshell that's sending shockwaves through the league. And if you're a Browns fan or just love drama in football, this is going to blow your mind. Picture this. Shedeur Sanders, one of the most hyped young quarterbacks in recent memory, reportedly turned down the chance to play for the Baltimore Ravens. Why? Because he didn't want to sit behind Lamar Jackson. That's right. The very idea of learning from an MVP, of absorbing all the secrets, all the nuances of one of the most electrifying quarterbacks in the game, Shedeur allegedly said. No thanks. Now let's unpack that for a second. At first glance, it might sound like pride, ego, or even a bit of arrogance. I mean, who wouldn't want to sit behind Lamar Jackson, watch him work, and pick up the tricks that have made him a household name? But there's more here than meets the eye. This revelation didn't just come from some random internet rumor. It came from a respected NFL veteran with inside knowledge, someone who has seen the rise and fall of countless young quarterbacks over decades. And the timing, that's another layer of intrigue. Why is this story surfacing now, months after the draft? What's being left out, and what's the real reason Shedeur made this decision? The veteran doesn't hold back. He openly questions the narrative, expressing genuine skepticism about the timing of this leak. He wonders why, after all this time, the story suddenly comes out. And honestly, that skepticism is a red flag for all of us. There's something deeper going on behind the scenes. Something that involves not just Shedeur's personal ambitions, but the politics, egos, and decisions that define NFL franchises. Because here's the thing, sitting behind an MVP isn't just a consolation prize, it's a masterclass. It's an opportunity to learn from the best, to watch the perfect mechanics, the split-second decision-making, the audibles, the leadership that turns a good quarterback into a great one. But according to this insider, Shedeur wasn't interested. And this is where the story takes an even darker twist. The Browns, the team that Shedeur eventually ended up with, reportedly didn't even want him in the first place. That's right. Not only did he allegedly reject a chance to learn from Lamar Jackson, but he walked into a situation where the organization, the coaching staff, and even the front office might not have believed in him at all. Imagine being a young quarterback with dreams of leading a team, only to find out that the people around you are already counting you out. That's not just a football problem, that's a psychological battlefield. So before we dive any deeper, think about this. Did Shedeur Sanders make a huge mistake rejecting Baltimore, or is he playing the long game, choosing the hardest path because the reward, if he succeeds, will be legendary? This isn't just about football. It's about ego, ambition, legacy, and the brutal, high-stakes world of the NFL. And trust me, we're just getting started. Let's zoom in on Baltimore, the city, the team, and the draft moment that could have changed everything for Shedeur Sanders. The Ravens had reportedly set their sights on him in the 5th round, 141st overall, and on paper, it looked like a perfect fit. A young, talented quarterback walking into a franchise led by Lamar Jackson, one of the most dynamic players in the league. Think about it, learning from a 2-time MVP, watching his footwork, his improvisation, his split-second reads. For most quarterbacks, this is a dream scenario. But here, where Shedeur reportedly shocked everyone, he said no. He didn't want to be a backup. He didn't want to sit behind Lamar Jackson. Now, let's break that down, because this isn't just about pride. It's about opportunity, timing, and the psychology of young quarterbacks. Sitting behind an MVP is often seen as the golden path. You learn, you grow, and you wait your turn while absorbing everything a superstar does. But for Shedeur, that waiting game apparently wasn't appealing. He didn't want to gamble on a future where his prime years were spent on the sidelines, watching someone else shine while he prepared in the background. It's a decision that has divided fans, analysts, and insiders alike. Some call it ego, others call it vision. The veteran insider who spilled this story added even more weight to the conversation. He questioned why this information is coming out now, months after the draft. Is it just a rumor, or is it a calculated leak meant to frame Shedeur in a certain light? And the more you think about it, the more you realize that this is exactly the kind of behind-the-scenes NFL drama that rarely makes headlines. Draft day looks glamorous on TV, with confetti and excitement. But behind closed doors, it's political, it's strategic, and it can be brutal. And then there's the reality of the Ravens themselves. Lamar Jackson isn't just a starting quarterback, he's a franchise cornerstone. The backup in Baltimore doesn't just sit, he bides his time, likely seeing limited action unless injury strikes or games are already decided. For a young quarterback with Shedeur's talent and ambition, that can feel like a ceiling. Sure, he could learn, he could grow, but he might never get a chance to prove himself on the field when it matters most, and that's the risk. Baltimore was offering safety, mentorship, and structure, but not the immediate opportunity to compete, to lead, to carve out his own legacy. Imagine walking into that Ravens facility. Lamar Jackson is commanding the offense, throwing impossible passes, moving defenders like chess pieces. The team revolves around his energy. Most young quarterbacks would probably be thrilled, absorbing every moment, taking notes, dreaming of their eventual chance. But Shedeur reportedly looked at it differently. He saw limitation where others saw growth, and he made a choice that could define his career, to seek a place where he could play, compete, and leave a mark immediately. This is the essence of the Baltimore situation, a classic clash between mentorship and opportunity, patience and ambition. And whether you agree with Shedeur or think he's being reckless, you can't ignore the stakes. Turning down the Ravens wasn't just a career decision, it was a statement. A declaration that he wasn't content to sit in someone else's shadow. And that decision, controversial as it is, sets the stage for the next chapter, the Cleveland Browns and the uphill battle that awaits him there. Now that we've unpacked the Baltimore situation, let's talk about something every young quarterback faces, but few people truly understand: the pressure. The NFL isn't just a game, it's a pressure cooker, a relentless proving ground where expectations, hype, and public scrutiny collide. And for quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders, those expectations are sky-high. He isn't just another draft pick, he's the son of Deion Sanders, a legacy name, and a highly touted talent with all eyes on him from day one. That kind of spotlight can make or break a career, and the mental toll is enormous. Think about it for a second. Quarterbacks drafted in the first rounds are expected to perform immediately. The NFL wants instant impact, highlight reel moments, and victories on Sunday, not after a few seasons of adjustment. But the reality is that many young quarterbacks aren't ready for that. Their college success, no matter how impressive, doesn't always translate seamlessly to the professional level. The speed of the game, the complexity of defenses, the psychological warfare of veteran opponents, it's a completely different world. And yet, the clock is ticking. The team needs results now, the media demands storylines, and fans are unforgiving. This is exactly the challenge Shedeur is stepping into. By turning down Baltimore, he chose a path where he could potentially start, but that comes with exponentially more pressure. No mentoring MVP, no low-stakes adjustment period. He's in the spotlight immediately, and every mistake will be magnified. Every interception, every poor decision will be analyzed and dissected not just by coaches, but by a league-wide audience hungry for drama. The veteran insider we mentioned earlier hinted at this reality. Too often, young quarterbacks are thrown into the deep end too quickly. Some fail not because they lack talent, but because the environment sets them up for failure. Then there's the psychological factor. Imagine walking into a new team, knowing that the organization may not even want you, and that your coaching staff is skeptical of your potential. That's a level of pressure most people can't even comprehend. It's not just about playing football, it's about navigating egos, politics, and expectations while maintaining confidence and focus. For a quarterback, mental toughness is just as important as physical skill. How you handle adversity, how you respond to criticism, how you perform when everyone is doubting you, that's what separates the greats from the also-rans. And let's not forget the hype that comes with being Deion Sanders' son. Comparisons, legacy expectations, and the constant spotlight add another layer of intensity. Shedeur has to forge his own identity while living up to a famous name, all while competing against seasoned NFL defenders who are bigger, faster, and more experienced. It's a delicate balance of self-belief, preparation, and resilience. In short, the pressure on young quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders is immense, And it only multiplies when you make bold choices like rejecting Baltimore to seek immediate opportunity. The stakes aren't just about wins and losses. They're about mental strength, adaptability, and the ability to thrive under scrutiny. How Shedeur handles this pressure could define his career and potentially rewrite the narrative about what it takes to succeed in the NFL. Now let's shift our focus to Cleveland, the team that Shedeur Sanders ultimately ended up with. And this is where the story gets even more complicated, even more dramatic. According to the same veteran insider, the Browns reportedly didn't even want Shedeur in the first place. That's right. The team, the coaches, and potentially even the front office may have walked into the situation with skepticism or doubt about their newest quarterback. Imagine being a young player, fresh from a celebrated college career, expecting support and mentorship, only to discover that the people in charge aren't fully behind you. That's not just a football problem, that's psychological warfare. The Browns, for decades, have had a notoriously checkered history with quarterbacks. First-round picks who were supposed to be franchise saviors often faltered. The organization has repeatedly struggled to develop top-tier talent, wasting opportunities, and creating a revolving door of quarterbacks who never fulfilled their potential. This history doesn't just shape the team's reputation, it sets the stage for the pressure on Shedeur Sanders. He's not just inheriting a position, he's stepping into a legacy of failure, expectations, and the skepticism of fans, analysts, and even teammates. And the veteran insider doesn't pull punches. He's blunt. I don't think he's going to get a fair shot there. I don't think they really wanted him. I don't think the coach wanted him. Those words paint a stark picture of dysfunction. They suggest that Shedeur isn't just facing the usual rookie challenges. He's entering an environment where support is limited, trust is minimal, and the organizational culture may actively work against him. This is a situation that could either crush a young quarterback's confidence or forge him into something extraordinary. Now, consider what this environment really means. For many players, being in a dysfunctional organization is a death sentence for their careers. Talent alone can't overcome systemic failure, poor coaching, and low morale. But for the right player, it's an opportunity, a chance to rise above, to prove doubters wrong, and to turn a cursed franchise into a success story. The Browns' dysfunction creates the ultimate underdog scenario. If Shedeur can thrive here, he doesn't just become a competent quarterback. He becomes a legend who overcame an environment stacked against him. And here's the kicker. Shedeur's decision to avoid Baltimore starts to make sense in this light. In Baltimore, he would have been a backup, learning behind an MVP but limited in opportunity. In Cleveland, even if the organization doesn't fully believe in him, he has the chance to take control, to be the central figure, and to define his own legacy. The Browns' toxic environment isn't just a risk, it's a potential proving ground. This is the context that most casual fans don't see. The Browns aren't just a team, they're a challenge, a high-stakes environment where every decision, every throw, and every play is scrutinized. Shedeur Sanders isn't just a rookie, he's a young quarterback stepping into a pressure cooker where history has favored failure. And now, the question isn't just whether he can play football at an elite level. It's whether he has the mental toughness, the resilience, and the drive to navigate one of the most challenging environments in professional sports. Now let's explore the most intriguing part of this story. Shedeur Sanders' potential strategy. At first glance, turning down Baltimore and heading to a dysfunctional Cleveland Browns team might look reckless. But what if it's actually a calculated move? What if Shedeur isn't motivated by ego, but by vision? A vision for his career, his legacy, and his opportunity to shine on his own terms. Think about it. In Baltimore, he would have been the backup to Lamar Jackson, arguably one of the most electrifying quarterbacks in the NFL. Sure, he could have learned from Jackson, watched him dissect defenses, and picked up priceless insights. That's a classic path for young quarterbacks. Sit, learn, and bide your time. But Shedeur apparently had a different calculation in mind. He looked at the Ravens and saw a ceiling. Limited playing time, a delayed chance to showcase his talent, and a scenario where he might never truly be the centerpiece. Contrast that with Cleveland. Yes, the Browns are notoriously dysfunctional. Yes, the organization has a history of mishandling quarterbacks, but therein lies the opportunity. Shedeur would be walking into a team where expectations are low, where few believe in him, and where success would immediately make him the central figure. If he can thrive here, he doesn't just succeed, he becomes the guy who turned a struggling franchise around. That's legacy-defining stuff, the kind of story that resonates not just in the NFL, but across sports history. There's also the mental component. Growing up as the son of Deion Sanders, Shedeur has been surrounded by excellence and the mindset of a champion. Prime time didn't raise a kid to accept second place. So when Shedeur reportedly looked at Baltimore and thought about sitting behind an MVP, maybe he didn't see opportunity, maybe he saw limitation. By choosing Cleveland, he's betting on himself, betting on his talent, and betting on his ability to handle pressure in a way that few rookies could. It's a high-risk, high-reward approach. If it works, he becomes a legend, the young quarterback who faced adversity, doubters, and a toxic environment and came out on top. If it fails, the criticism will be intense, and the narrative could be brutal. But that's the hallmark of boldness in sports. True greatness often comes from making tough, unconventional decisions and embracing challenges that others would avoid. And here, another layer. The underdog narrative is powerful. Fans love a comeback story, a player who defies the odds and proves everyone wrong. Cleveland's dysfunction, which might seem like a nightmare to some, actually sets the stage for Shedeur to shine in a way he couldn't in Baltimore. Every doubter, every skeptic, every negative headline becomes fuel for him. The very obstacles that could break most young quarterbacks might instead propel him forward. In the end, Shedeur's strategy might be as much psychological as it is physical. He's choosing the harder path because the payoff, if he succeeds, is immeasurable. Baltimore offered safety and mentorship. Cleveland offers a challenge and the chance to carve his own identity. And in the NFL, identity, legacy, and the chance to define a team often outweigh the comfort of simply waiting your turn. Now let's dive into something that separates great quarterbacks from the rest, the mental game. Football is as much psychological as it is physical, and for Shedeur Sanders, this is where the real challenge and opportunity lies. Walking into the Cleveland Browns, he's not just facing defenses and playbooks. He's facing skepticism, organizational dysfunction, and the weight of expectations. The psychological pressure is immense, and how he handles it could define the trajectory of his entire career.
If you enjoyed today's breakdown and want to keep up with all the drama, trades, and behind-the-scenes action in the NFL, then don't forget to hit that like button.
Imagine this. Shedeur knows the organization might not have fully believed in him from the start. He's aware that the coaching staff may be skeptical, that the front office has a history of mishandling talent, and that fans and analysts are already projecting doom. That's a lot for a young quarterback to carry, yet it's precisely in moments like these that legends are born. The mental toughness required to thrive in such an environment isn't taught on the practice field. It's forged under pressure, shaped by resilience, and strengthened by self-belief. The veteran insider hinted at this reality, essentially predicting that Shedeur would face an uphill battle from day one. That's a scenario that could crush most rookies, yet it's also a chance for Shedeur to turn every perceived disadvantage into fuel. History shows us that the greatest athletes often rise from doubt. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school team. Tom Brady was picked 199th in the NFL draft. Both faced skepticism, both were underestimated, and both used that doubt as motivation. Shedeur has the same opportunity, to channel the external negativity into internal drive. Confidence is critical here, and Shedeur seems to have it in spades. He didn't take the safe path to Baltimore, even though it offered mentorship from a superstar. He chose the harder path, one where immediate success is not guaranteed, but where the stakes and the potential reward are monumental. This is a young athlete who understands his own talent, his own ambition, and his own mental capacity to handle adversity. And make no mistake, the NFL will test him every step of the way. From media scrutiny to fan expectations, from challenging defenses to internal team politics, Shedeur will be under pressure constantly. Motivation, in this context, becomes a superpower. The Browns' dysfunction, which might seem like a disadvantage, actually gives Shedeur an unparalleled narrative. the ultimate underdog story. Every doubt cast upon him, every critic predicting failure, becomes fuel for his performance. Success in Cleveland won't just be about winning games. It will be about proving that he can rise above skepticism, thrive under pressure, and redefine what it means to succeed in an imperfect environment. And let's not forget the legacy factor. This isn't just about a single season. It's about setting a foundation for a career, about shaping a story that fans, analysts, and future generations will remember. By embracing the mental and motivational challenges of this environment, Shedeur has the chance to become more than a quarterback. He can become a symbol of resilience, confidence, and strategic audacity. In short, the psychological and motivational angle isn't just a subplot. It's the core of Shedeur Sanders' journey. His ability to handle pressure, defy expectations, and turn doubt into determination could define not only his career but the very identity of the team he leads.
If you enjoyed today's breakdown and want to keep up with all the drama, trades, and behind-the-scenes action in the NFL, then don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps this channel grow and lets us know you love this kind of content. And hey, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with your friends, your group chats, or anyone who loves football as much as you do. The more the conversation spreads, the better it gets. Most importantly, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss when we drop fresh stories, wild rumors, or breaking updates that the mainstream media won't talk about.